I like to visit worlds I haven't visited. It's all about when I read the script. But I was always into clothes. What I want anyway is to try to combine sort of credibility in a character, personality, but also something desirable in a look.
Denise Alstom is a Swedish costume designer and stylist. She's collaborated with two of the most exciting Swedish directors, Lukas Moodysson for Lylia Forever, Love Away, starring Gael, Garcia, Bernal and Michelle Williams, and the TV serie Gösta, and Lisa Langseth dressing the characters of Euphoria and Netflix show Love Anarchy. Denise, I'm very happy to have you today on Profession Costumière. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be with you.
So, if it's okay with you, I'd like to start with coming back to the beginning of your career as a costume designer and ask you how you became a costume designer.
Yes. Well, I don't think I was aware that there was a profession called that, or that you could actually do it. I just sort of slided into it. When I was around 19, my friend's sister, she had a friend who was a stylist, who was looking for someone to work in her clothing shop. And so I applied for that job. I didn't get that job, but then instead she asked me if I wanted her, to assist her when she was doing styling instead. So that's how it started. So by coincidence, I guess, and also we just started to work and I discovered that it suited me, that it fit me very well. But I was always into clothes. I mean, like reading magazines, sort of like experimenting with sort of dressing in different ways, seeing how it made me feel, and sort of what I got access to by dressing in different ways, basically. So always liking clothes, liking nice things. And I can't remember that I was ever not interested, sort of. I was always interested in clothes.
Always interested in clothes. And then movies arrived later on. You started as a stylist?
Yeah, exactly. No, but she was doing both like feature films and advertising as well. So we started like that. But I was always kind of interested in movies too, starting to watch like art house movies when I was around maybe 16, discovering that sort of. But I didn't think about that you could actually work with it until I did, basically.
And so you have worked several times with a Swedish director that I really like personally, Lisa Langseth.
Yeah.
She's a director that revealed the now Oscar winner and Louis Vuitton muse Alicia Vikander. And together you've worked on Euphoria, starring Alicia Vikander, Eva Green, Charlotte Rampling. It was in 2019. And last year on Love Anarchy, a romantic and original Netflix show. Yeah. So could you tell us how you and Lisa Langseth met?
Well, I think I can't really remember when we met, but I think I got recommended to her by her previous costume designer called Lisa Langseth, who had then become a film composer instead. So she recommended me, and we met. And I can't remember our exact first meeting, but the first thing we did together for Euphoria was that the two of us went to London to see Eva Green. Yes. And we got along, we understood each other's references, and mostly I think we trusted each other. That's like a common trust from the beginning, sort of. So that's how we started.
It's very unusual. I had never heard of a costume designer who became a costume composer. That's very...
She's very good.
Interesting. I'll look into it.
Yeah, do.
And so you were mentioning Eva Green, and so you worked on the movie together, Euphoria. So to sum up the story, Eva Green is a very sick woman who has decided to end her life in a special place, offering the freedom to choose when and how to live. And she's taking her sister with her, a photograph played by Alicia Vikander, to support her into the journey. And there's also Charlotte Rampling, who works there as a guide and a mentor to accompany Eva Green within her last days. So I was wondering how you prepared Euphoria costumes and maybe also what indications Lisa Langseth shared with you about what she wanted for the characters.
Well, I think that Alicia's character was the most sort of legible, the most obvious sort of. Her lifestyle and the environment she would have moved in and the people she would have known. It's groups of people that are very exposed on social media. So she was quite easy to find reference material for.
A New Yorker, a photographer.
Exactly. And also like moving within like a fashion art world sort of.
Yes.
And so for her, it wasn't difficult. And I think we talked about that she was like a bit of a reckless tomboy. A heartbreaker with an effortless look, but there was quite a lot of effort put into that effortlessness.
Yes.
So, and with Charlotte, the first thing was the clinic's uniform. I think that was at least as a starting point with her. And we discussed back and forth that if they were going to wear a uniform at all, but in the end we decided that they should. For many different reasons, really. Both because we wanted the clinic to get like a contemporary lifestyle packaging, despite the very sad, like non-lifestyle fact people were there, sort of. And also, that's vague, slightly like Japanese appropriation, like aesthetics that spa places use to get like a heightened feeling of holy rituals and words of wisdom and stuff like that. So that's how we started. And we wanted the stuff to melt together with the gardens and the place.
Yes.
And not to steal focus from the story, I think. And also maybe picturing that in a place like that, in that very special situation, that you maybe want more the sense of personality rather than the actual a new person's actual personality, if you know what I mean. And Charlotte's first fitting, it didn't go well at all.
Oh, why?
We had quite short preparation time, and it was spread out like all over Europe. So I met Charlotte in London, Lisa was in Munich. And the only thing we had discussed previous was that we sent mood boards. So that was the only thing that Charlotte had seen. And I had like a slightly more scruffy, a little bit more new agey, less elegant idea about her. But I'm happy how it turned out. But she wanted it to be like a little bit more elegant than I like wanted from
initially
beginning.
Exactly. Yes, I guess that working with such a she's really iconic actress and she's worn so many costumes, so I guess I wanted to ask you because I guess she's quite opinionated about what she wears.
Absolutely. But I mean, I think we met somewhere in the middle at the end. Like having for me anyway, some new agey subtle things, but still elegance, timeless elegance that she's aiming for.
The result looks really beautiful on screen.
I'm happy, thank you.
And what about Eva Green's character?
Well, Eva Green's character was the most difficult, I think, because it's both the element of what you want to spend the last days of your life in. Is it sort of sweatpants you bought for the occasion, or are you more sentimental and would wear something that you got from someone you love? Or is that you spend the last of your money buying something that you always wanted. I read her when I read the script as a bit sentimental, among many other things, of course, but I wanted it to be a little bit more clear who she had been before she got here. Maybe like a pair of very well-worn jeans or a very loved sweater. Like, had she been a music lover earlier? I mean, like some clues about who she used to be. But Eva wanted it to be very basic, and that's what in the film. Yeah. We went through like many different stages. And
yes.
Yeah. And
before arriving to
the quite
final
basic, the final look that she has. Yeah.
So I also wanted to ask you about Love and Anarchy. So the Netflix TV show that you worked on with Lisa Langseth again, 3 years after Euphoria, if I'm not mistaken. So the series is about a consultant, Sophie. She's a very attractive and smart woman, married with 2 children, and she starts a new job in an edition company. And there she meets a young man that is going to change her life. So again, I was wondering what informations you were given by Lisa Langseth on top of the script, what she had in mind maybe, and what you discussed about the characters.
Yeah, no, but I think that, I mean, like, since we had done Euphoria, we sort of like synced our references. So, and since both me and Lisa, we are born in Stockholm, grew up here, live here, so we could use like a lot of internal references, like being like, do you know her or like him? So it was easy like that. But I mean, like, usually I read the script, I make a mood board, and then use that as a basis for me and the director to discuss like specifically where to sort of go with the characters. And I think with this, I think it takes place in groups of people where I think both me and Lisa semi-existed or at least visited. So, so we could easily sort of be very specific from the beginning.
You had inspirations of people you knew maybe in the city and that inspired you?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you're also a stylist, and you mentioned it in the beginning. So I guess, well, I was wondering at least if it inspired you composing Sophie's really trendy wardrobe. Maybe.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, we wanted it to feel like Stockholm now. So it was important that it felt contemporary and trendy. And I think that Sophie is the kind of woman that follow trends. So I think, I mean, I think it helps being both like a stylist, doing like advertising and stuff, and doing this at the same time, because ideally what I want anyway is to try to combine sort of credibility in a character, personality, but also something desirable in a look. I mean, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be like trendy or like fashiony, but something that's attractive.
Yes.
In some ways, anyway. Yeah.
Well, it definitely works. Her looks are so desirable. I really love the way she's dressed. And I was wondering if for those costumes you used rental places, you shopped new clothes. How did it work on that project?
Well, I mean, like, for Love and Anarchy, I think we purchased almost everything. We didn't rent almost anything anyway. But I think Sophie's the only character I bought new things for. Like, everyone else is mostly vintage, I would say.
Yes.
And so it's vintage shops combined with like other new things. And also like looking in friends' wardrobe. Because, like, example, my friend is a commercial producer. And for Sophie's family, I went to his house, went through his closet and his kids, and getting like fancy T-shirts and cashmere sweaters and sweatpants and stuff like that was really worn out. stuff that usually don't end up like in a vintage shop because it's too worn.
Too worn, yes.
Yeah, so it was like a jigsaw, like getting stuff here and here and like looking around what you can find. Also, like some of my clothes are in the...
Oh, really? Like which one?
Like some sweatpants and some old tops and, you know, stuff.
Ah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a combination of like anything, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, to create like real and authenticity feeling.
Exactly. And also like all the expensive like watches and jewelry and stuff, that's rented from different shops in Stockholm. Yeah.
Okay. And I was wondering, because Sophia also has edgy moments, such as her Cyndi Lauper day or her full glitter outfit. So I was wondering how you came up with those specific outfits as well.
I mean, for the glitter outfit, I had done that summer, I did like a holiday campaign for a company. And I knew that would be released for Christmas. So I kind of had that in mind all along. So when it came out, I just went and got it. And it was lucky for me that both Lisa and Ida liked it. So that was how that came about. And with the Cyndi look, I mean, like we needed to think through what she could have in her wardrobe that was believable to be in there. But I think that Sophie is the kind of woman who buys both like cheap and expensive stuff, and both basic and more wild. And I'm pretty sure that she stops by like a shop on her way from work at the night where they're gonna go to dinner party or something, stuff that she never ends up using or returning. So I mean, like it wasn't that limited in the sense that I at least could picture that she had quite a lot of different things in her wardrobe. And she finishes off that look with her husband's suit jacket as well.
Yes.
So it was a bit of, I mean, like mix of everything.
And it's nice because in the show you see her actually composing the outfit and trying things on.
It was a fun to shoot as well.
Well, thank you for these answers. And I also had a questions because you worked on this TV show, but other series and other long films. Yeah. So I was wondering if you enjoyed, maybe it's maybe a bit cliche question, but did you like better working on series or feature films? Or I guess it depends, but I also guess it's a very different experience designing costumes for a series and a feature movie.
Absolutely. I mean, like I like change, so I like to do both. I mean, like I wouldn't do only feature films, I wouldn't do only TV series, and I wouldn't do only advertising. So I like the mix of it, and usually I do like one long project per year, because to me that's sort of a good balance between. Because when you do like something long, either if it's a TV series or a movie, it absorbs so much of your life and like energy. And from the moment you read the script, you kind of have it with you constantly. So for me, it's the mix that I do, and I like to keep it like that. I think it's inspiring in both ways as well, and has good effects in both ways. That I can use the stuff I learned still in advertising when I do TV series and films, and the opposite as well.
Otherwise, yes. Very interesting. So you found a good balance between those projects.
Yeah, I think so. I'm happy at least with it. No, I wouldn't do it any other way, because when I've done like a feature film or a TV thing, I miss the advertising thing, and the opposite as well. Plus, it's so like different worlds as well. I mean, like both the way you work and the people is different people, and also the tempo in it all is different as well, and how you think as well is different.
How long is it usually when you work on a commercial, an advertisement?
On a commercial, it's, I mean, like it can be anything from like 2 weeks up to a month, but it's usually around 2 weeks. Whereas, I mean, like depending on the project, it's, I mean, like I started with Euphoria, I think I started in the beginning of October, and I finished, I mean, like maybe in February, but then the shooting goes on without
Yes.
me. And I do like occasional days, but I mean, like it's at least half a year when and even more, because I think I read the script in May, and then we started in October, and then the shooting started in January. So I mean, like it's with me like on a daily basis.
Yeah.
For like almost a year, definitely.
And I had a few questions about costumes in general. For instance, I was wondering if there are some movie costumes that you especially like and that still inspire you.
Yeah. I've always liked Barry Lyndon by Stanley Kubrick. And I just recently heard in a documentary I saw that they didn't design like anything for that. They just got their like inspiration from paintings. So they copied everything from paintings.
Wow,
which was interesting. And I think it worked really, really well, because I mean, like that's the good thing about that movie, that it's believable, and even if it's a period movie, you don't really think about it. It just is, and without feeling like a fancy dress party. It feels believable, and you forget it's there.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. And but also like there's another old movie called Snowtown, which is contemporary, that I really like. I thought when I saw that, it was years ago now, but I remember thinking that was really inspiring. I like the costume design in Euphoria, the TV series as well, as a more recent example.
Yes.
Also, The Favorite. I thought that was really good too. There's a Belgian or like Dutch movie called Bullhead that I think is really good. Yeah, I mean, like I guess I could go on forever, but that's, I mean, like just that pops into my mind, sort of.
Great. Yeah, very different universes. It's interesting. Yeah. And is there a specific costume that you have designed and that you especially like?
I mean, I still like Lylia that you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
It was, I mean, like even I haven't seen it in a long time, but when I think about it, I mean, like it was one of the first feature films I did, but it's still like one of my favorites, because I mean, like both the subject, I think, but also it was the first time I worked with Lukas. That was fun. And I was just, I mean, like when I see pictures from it still, I'm happy about it, sort of. And
a very good memory.
Yeah, exactly. It was hard, but it was fun, and it turned out like it was so much hard work, and it was such a long time as well. And since it was the first thing I did, it was also super, super scary. Like nightmares, like every night.
Oh no.
Yeah. But no, I think it's sort of like one of my favorite projects. But also, I did a TV series with Johan Renck called The Last Panthers, that I am happy about too. And also Gösta, that you also mentioned before.
Yes.
I like that too. Yeah.
Great.
But there, I mean, like it's many characters like over the years in both like, advertising and films that I like, but it's like subtle things that maybe never was shown on camera that I am happy about. Like I'm so happy about those shoes, but no one saw them really. But you know, it's
some details,
some small details that I know were there, but maybe no one saw them.
And I was wondering, as a last question, if there's any kind of project you'd really be interested in working on?
I think for me, it's all about when I read the script, if it sort of starts something in me, if I get inspired just by reading. It's more about the story and the characters, I think, rather than that I dream of something specific. I like to visit worlds I haven't visited. So I like when it's new. I like when I don't know my way around it. I like to discover sort of new things. So I think it's more about that. The constant sort of progress for myself, basically. Yeah.
Well, I wish you a lot of very interesting and new things to discover next.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Me too.
And that's it for my questions. I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add, maybe, or...
No, not really. No. Like you said, talking about your job as a costume designer is quite rare. So it's fun to talk about it. And it's also like you realize that you don't talk about it that much. And especially not, of course, when you bump into someone who does the same thing as you do, you talk about it, but not like this. So it's nice. And also like, I feel when something is being talked about, it's mostly like period design, and I think that's interesting too, of course. But I think contemporary stuff, it's so much detail put into that and thought. So I think it's too bad that it's not explored. So it's nice. It's been nice.
Oh, well, I'm very glad to hear. Thank you, Denise.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I wish you luck as well.
I'd like to thank Denise Alstom for sharing her experience, both as a costume designer and a stylist, and her thoughts about the profession recognition and media coverage. If you like Profession Costumière, you can give it stars on your podcast app and share it with the people you love. You can also join the podcast on Instagram @Profession Costumière to discover the faces, works, and inspirations of my guests. Bye!